Curiosity is harmless until it isn't. Most of us wonder about things we'll never do. Some people imagine what's hidden in the dark web. Others wonder how it feels to stand on the edge of a cliff. But sometimes curiosity crosses a line. And what should remain? Fantasy becomes reality. In 2023, South Korea, a nation considered one of the safest in the world, faced a crime so brutal, so bizarre, that it shook the entire country. Not because it was motivated by revenge, not because it was fueled by greed, but because a young woman wanted to answer one question. What does it feel like? This is the disturbing case of yoo-jung. Do you understand why this crime shocked South Korea so deeply? You first need to understand who yoo-jung was. She was 23 years old, living with her elderly grandfather in Busan after dropping out of high school. By all accounts, she was quiet, reserved, unremarkable. Neighbors barely noticed her. She had no serious job, no college, no close friends. Instead, yoo-jung lived almost entirely online. Her world was books, dramas, and forums about crime. She binge-watched true crime documentaries late into the night. She read novels where killers were glorified. She scrolled through communities where crime scenes were dissected in detail. She didn't just consume crime stories, she studied them. This wasn't a phase, it was an obsession. Her grandfather, perhaps unaware of the depth of her fascination, later admitted she spent nearly all her time indoors, doing nothing but reading and watching. And while most people see crime fiction as entertainment for yoo-jung, it was something more. She began wondering, what do these killers feel when they take a life? What runs through their veins when they cross the line that separates thought from action? Her curiosity turned dark. It festered. It became a hunger, and obsessions always demand answers. And so she began planning, patiently, methodically, until the fantasy had a script, and she was ready to act it out. In May 2023, yoo-jung set her plan into motion. She created a fake profile on a tutoring app, posing as a mother looking for English lessons for her child. A cover story simple enough to be believable. Disguise of innocence. Before long, a 26-year-old woman responded, a tutor by profession. She was bright, responsible, and just beginning her adult life. She had no idea that by answering a tutoring ad, she would be walking into a death trap. Jung insisted that the lessons be held in the tutor's own home. She didn't want witnesses and to sell the lie. She prepared her disguise, a school uniform, a white blouse buttoned neatly, a navy pleated shirt, hair tied like a teenager's. She wasn't a student. She wasn't a daughter. She was a predator, preparing to lure her prey for two to open the door, expecting to begin an ordinary session. But what she had really opened was a door into death. And once that door closed, yoo-jung's curiosity became something else entirely. Inside the quiet apartment, everything seemed ordinary. Books, a desk, a young tutor preparing her notes. But then yoo-jung attacked. Authorities would later reveal she stabbed her victim over 100 times. Think about that. Not one, not 10. More than 100 thrusts of the blade, each one fueled not by rage, but by the cold drive of curiosity. The scene was catastrophic. Blood stained the walls. The floor, the furniture. The violence was so excessive that investigators described it as inhuman. And yet, for yoo-jung, it was the fulfillment of her obsession. She later confessed that in those months, she felt a kind of satisfaction, because finally, she knew what it felt like to kill. No hatred, no personal grudge, just curiosity, answered with steel. The victim, a young woman who had opened her door to help, never had a chance. Her kindness was met with brutality, her trust repaid in blood. But yoo-jung wasn't finished. Killing her victim wasn't enough. Like many amateur criminals, Jung had spent countless hours studying how others were caught. She believed she knew what mistakes not to make, and so she began trying to erase the evidence. She dismembered the body, placing parts into a large suitcase. Imagine the weight of it. The wheels dragging across the floor, the zipper straining against what it held. She then called a taxi to the driver. She looked nervous, clutching her suitcase too tightly. He noticed how strangely heavy it was. She asked to be taken to a riverside where she intended to scatter the remains. The driver would later say that something about her felt off, not just the weight of the luggage, but the way her eyes started, the silence in her seat. It was enough to leave him unsettled. After dropping her off, he contacted the police. His suspicion, a simple human gut feeling, unraveled her entire plan. Investigators quickly found her at the riverbank, and when they opened the suitcase, they were confronted with a nightmare. The remains of a young woman murdered for no reason other than curiosity. But when police asked yoo-jung why, her answer was colder than the crime itself. During interrogation, Jung didn't cry. She didn't deny it. She didn't invent a traumatic excuse. She admitted the truth. She killed because she wanted to know what it would feel like. No anger, no money, no personal motive at all. Just curiosity. Police uncovered that she had months of preparation. She had searched online for how to commit murder. She watched forensic documentaries to learn how killers avoided capture. She studied novels where violence was glorified in her home. Investigators found notebooks filled with writings about killing. Internet history filled with articles on dismemberment. She had rehearsed this crime in her mind countless times. But for all her preparation, her plan collapsed because of one thing she couldn't account for: human instinct. The suspicion of a single taxi driver was enough to undo her fantasy of the perfect crime. But perhaps the most disturbing detail came not from the crime scene, but from yoo-jung's own words. Afterward, when asked if she regretted what she had done, Jung said yes, but not for the life she had taken, not for the family she had destroyed. She regretted it only because she had been caught. That statement haunted investigators, prosecutors, and the public alike, because it meant that given the chance, she might have done it again. The case dominated South Korean media for weeks. It was all anyone could talk about. How could a young woman with no history of violence commit such a crime? What drove her truly to step across the line from fantasy to murder? Psychologists suggested she was isolated, detached from reality, consumed by her obsession with crime. But for the public, the answer was more terrifying. She killed because she wanted to, because she was curious. And that's what makes the story so disturbing. Because evil doesn't always wear a mask of anger. It doesn't always come from jealousy or desperation. Sometimes, evil comes wrapped in something ordinary: a quiet garden, a school uniform, a tutoring session on a sunny day, and a question that should have never been answered: curiosity, the kind that turns deadly.